Yo, what's good, Sixer Nation? DFJ Hoops here. Back again with another live stream. Hey, we got to talk about the Sixers versus the Clippers post game. And a lot really took place in that game. Paul George made his season debut. A lot of great things in that game. So we got to talk about it. But before I get started, salute to Rap Guy Reloaded. Appreciate you, bro. Says first. Salute to my guy BJ in the building. I saw the Cleveland Cavaliers had an impressive victory over the Bucks. So, congrats to your Cavs, but hey, there's a Sixer platform. All right, let's get right into this. So the 76ers took on the LA Clippers. Now the Clippers have been struggling in the Western Conference. Um, they're out to playing as of right now, 4-9 record, or maybe even worse, right? Kawhi Leonard is not playing. They're missing a few other guys too. The Sixers are also missing a few players, right? The Sixers are also missing a few players, but the Sixers were able to win this game, even though they were down. They trailed for majority of the game, but they eventually took the lead with Maxey, with the heroics from Maxey, 39 points, willing the Sixers to victory. Now, let me get started with this and start with Paul George. Salute to my guy. Salute to RJ in the building. Appreciate you, RJ. I'm gonna drop the link, and yeah, you can give me your thoughts on the game too. So Paul George. Now, I think when the season started, with the Sixers having immediate success, people didn't really we're not really pushing for Paul George to return, right? It was later on where, where's Paul George? Where's Paul George? He's getting paid all this money. Where's Paul George? Right. So he finally made his debut last night, which, coincidentally against the Clippers, which I don't know if it was calculated or he did this on purpose, but he made his debut against the Clippers. Now, as we all expected, he was going to be on minutes restrictions, right? So Paul George starts for the Sixers, and he got shut down last season in March, and I think the goal was to get him going early, right? So they were going to him, trying to run plays for him. I mean, he did score the first 5 points for the Sixers with the 3-pointer that was assisted from or by Tyrese Maxey, and he had to also, I think he shot free throws, right? He got fouled at the 3-point line, and he went to the free throw line. He was supposed to make all three of them, but missed the first one by Kobe Flowers. Kobe Sanders. Shout out to the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers got some, they got the Sanders. Like, Sanders is a very, very solid piece that they could utilize once everybody gets healthy. Now, me personally, I want the Clippers to fail. I don't want the Clippers to be successful. Everybody knows that because of one player, right? And it's not James Harden, it's somebody else. I'm not even going to mention his name. But Paul George did look good to me, right? He looked good. Looked very, very comfortable out there. Even though I expected him to be a little bit rusty because he hasn't played in so long. The last time he played was March the 15th or 16th or whatever, right? So, but the jumpers, he got to his spots like he usually does. Some of the jumpers were falling, others were not falling. Had some strong drives to the basket as well. Created a few opportunities. Some led to scoring opportunities. Others were not able to. We were not able to convert. But me personally, I think he played very, very well. Played solid. Playing only about 21 or 22 minutes because he was on minutes restrictions. We anticipated that, right? So he played very, very well, right? He played very, very well. But the Sixers as a whole, salute. He said petty as Paul George. Bro, y'all funny. But the Sixers, they took the lead early on, like I said, with Paul George scoring the first 5 points, and then it was all Clippers from then on, right? The Clippers started, even though the Clippers had played on Sunday, they played against the Boston Celtics. They got on the flight, got on the train or whatever, came to Philly, and played against us. It kind of seemed like the Sixers rather played in back-to-back games and not the Clippers, right? Because James Harden was having his way with the defense. I mean, James Harden is that good, offensively. So James Harden is going to make shots. He's going to get to his spots. He's going to put defenders in foul trouble, and he's going to do what he does best, right? And people think I hate James Harden, but Harden is one of my favorite players. I really appreciated his time with the Sixers, even though they didn't win a championship, but he still did great things with us, right? I believe the 22-23 team is the best team for the Sixers in this decade, right? From 2020 to 2025, I think that 23 team was the best team this era. But, that's besides the point. James Harden did, had early success with the defense, and it didn't even matter whoever was in front of him. And I think this was the game where we really needed Kelly Oubre, because these are the games, these are the matchups where he thrives in, even though he's still going to have difficulties guarding James Harden. But I mean, if you had Kelly Oubre in this game, the length, the athleticism could, probably, seem it could bother, James Harden. And you have other guys to throw at him, right? Different looks to put on him. But it just didn't matter. Whoever was in front of him, he was searching for mismatches. Had Maxey on him a couple times. I mean, Maxey's so little, right? Even the bigger defenders have difficulty sticking with James Harden. So how much more Maxey? But James Harden was doing his thing. I think James Harden scored 17 points in that first quarter, right? He finished with 17 points when the Sixers offense was really, really, they struggled offensively. They weren't running, real offenses. And it was, just playing it right into the Clippers defense. And I felt like they were not really attacking Ivica Zubats in the pick and roll, because that should be the number one target who you should go after, right? Because he's going to be in drop, and then you can, Maxey can get into his mid range back. But they were not really doing that as much as I would have liked. And for the most part, I saw Zubats in the paint, doing what he does best, which is, deflecting shots, contesting shots, and blocking shots. Now, I don't think he had any blocks in his game, but he really did a good job, for the first three quarters, because the Clippers had the lead and the Sixers offense was struggling. Now, the Sixers had other players, struggle as well. Jerry McCain checked in the second frame, right? He checked in and he did struggle, right? Jerry McCain has been struggling. He is yet to score a bucket for the Sixers, which it's very, very sad, because how his career started, and then the injury getting in the way, and then him having to sit out for as long as he did and then come back and then still struggle is very, very frustrating for Jerry McCain. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. When you go to the G League, you don't get better, right? When you go to the G League, you don't get better. Now, yeah, you might get enough playing time, but you don't get better in the G League, right? So if you want to get in rhythm, if you want to get minutes, if you want to play good, you have to get minutes, you have to get reps with the main roster. If you go to the G League, you're not going to get better. That's the reality of it. Now, you might get in shape, right? You might get in game conditioning, but to get like quality reps and to actually work on your game, you do not do that in the G League. You have to do it with the main team, the main roster. So he came in the game, he did struggle, but I think moving on from here, hopefully he can get enough minutes, get off minutes restrictions, and earn Nick Nurse's trust again, because that's what it kind of seems like, right? Because he's been struggling, and I mean other guys are playing good. VJ Edgecombe, who has been struggling, but I think VJ has been playing very, very solid in his last two games against the Pistons, even though the Sixers lost to the Pistons. I felt like he had a decent performance in this game. I mean, last night's game he also played good. Even though I would want more consistency from him. Even though, I mean, he's a rookie, so I kind of understand. But at this point, we need to see consistent performance, at this high level. Now, like I said, his defense, I don't question his defense, because I know he's always gonna bring it defensively, right? He's always gonna bring it defensively. But yeah. Salute to my guy Hendo in the building. Appreciate you, Hendo. Appreciate you. He says, rep your team, StreamYard tonight. Everyone tap in. Yeah, I got you. No problem. And the Pistons are also playing some good basketball. So, shout out to the Pistons, right? Who would have thought, like 2 years or maybe 3 years ago, or let me say 2 years ago, who would have thought that the Pistons 2 years later will be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, right? Everybody would have laughed at you. But the Pistons fans, they stuck by their team, they believed in their team, and now they are one of the best in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, you sure did. Yeah. We give you your props on that. You definitely did. Even though they was losing 24, 25 in a row, you still stuck with them. So yeah, we definitely give you that credit. But yeah, so Harden, was having his way with the Sixers defense, and it didn't matter whoever's in front of him. Maxey, VJ, Justin Edwards, who came off the bench to play some defense. Like, it didn't matter. He was just getting to his spots, getting to his bag. And then also the Sixers were over helping, right? Helping off of, certain players. And then the Clippers would get some wide open threes, right? Batum had a lot of wide open threes. John Collins has had a couple wide open threes. Chris Dunn had a couple wide open threes. I mean, Chris Dunn had a play where the Sixers were trying to run him off the 3-point line, and then he pump faked and then drove down baseline and dunked all over the team. Like, are we serious as a unit defensively? Like, Chris Dunn is not that threat from the 3-point line to where you have to run him from the 3-point line. Yeah, you can utilize a closeout coverage on him, but you utilize a soft closeout on him because he's not that good of a 3-point shooter. But if he's, pump faking, getting your defenders in the air, driving baselines, and dunking on your team, then your defense, your defense is in trouble, right? Your defense is on trouble. It is in trouble. Now, if it was James Harden or other 3-point players, doing, I mean, that's fine, but not Chris Dunn, right? Not Chris Dunn, because he's not that caliber of offensive player. He's a good defender. He's a solid defender, right? Very, very solid defender, and was one of the main reasons why Maxey struggled in this game, right? Because, oh my goodness. Bro, come on, man. Yeah, sorry about that, yo. Sorry about that. Great game for the Sixers. Yeah, eventually they caught up, but they didn't really start off this game the best way because the Clippers were coming off a back-to-back. And it kind of seemed like the Sixers were the ones playing on a back-to-back. So I don't know if the 2 days layoff was the reason why they came out and playing like that, but you got to give the coach some kind of blame for it because he's the head of the team. But yeah, Sixers play from behind for the most part. The Clippers went up by as many as 12 points to end the first quarter. And they went small. They did go small, and I think the reason for the Sixers going small was because they benched Zubac and they put Brook Lopez in the game. Now Brook Lopez, yeah, he's 7 foot, but he's not gonna play with his back to the basket. He's not gonna punish mismatches in the post. He likes to shoot outside three, so I think that's why. Nick Nurse decided to go small, and I mean, Adembona is, he's dealing with an ankle injury, so it kind of made sense. But I mean, yeah, Harden cooked the Sixers, 17 points in the first. That's terrible. But they head into the second frame, and both teams, struggle offensively. And here's where I have a huge problem with this with the Clipper fans. Now, the Clippers keep telling me that Chris Paul needs to play. When James Harden went out the game, they had a double-digit lead, right? So he played the entire first quarter, and then in the second, Chris Paul started at the point guard spot, and the Sixers were always trying to make a run, right? They're trying to make a run, trying to tie the game or take the lead, but every time they put a couple good offensive possessions together, the Clippers made a basket. But I'm saying this to say that Chris Paul does not deserve to be on the court. Right, because when he got on the court, it made the game easier for the Sixers, and the Sixers started to get in the game offensively, right? He wasn't running any offense for the Clippers, right? Defensively, he was also getting a torch. He did make a couple shots here or there. He did make a few passes here or there that led to buckets, but the consistency of it was not there. And that's why I kind of have a problem when the Clipper fans say that James Harden is hurting them offensively, because when James Harden is on the court, that's when the Clippers offense is at its best. Now, yeah, James Harden doesn't play any defense, but that's why you have the other guys around him, right? That's why you have the Chris Dunns. Chris Dunn is going to pick up the defensive assignment on the other team's best guard, right? He was following Maxey everywhere, even though he does deploy a few, dirty tactics here or there, right? The grabbing, the pushing. I mean, he's physical, right? Now, I have no problem with being physical, right? But, adding the dirty tactics to it, that's where, I draw the line. But he was very, very instrumental for them defensively and was one of the huge reasons why the Sixers, were down too, because Maxey did not get into a rhythm in the first half, right? Maxey was taking a lot of difficult shots. Most of the shots, he was getting to a spot sometimes, but for the most part, he was just playing into the hands of the Clippers defense. And that's all the Clippers wanted, because they knew Maxey, they know the caliber of player he is, and they know he's going to turn it up for the Sixers and eventually get his team going, right? So that's what they were doing, and they had success with it, heading into the half with a double-digit lead, right? They go on a 12-3 run after James Harden checks back into the game, and, they were able to secure that huge lead heading into the half. Now, Dominic Barlow returned for the Sixers, right? He returned, and he was in the starting lineup. Now, the last game he came off the bench, but in this game right here, he did start for the Sixers at the power forward position, and which is very very good for us in my opinion. I really like Dominic Barlow. Plays very very hard on both ends. Pause if necessary. Doesn't take any possessions off. Sometimes he does miss a few rotations here or there, right? And sometimes the attention to detail is not really there. But I mean, he's a young player. He's about 22, 23. So I believe, if he gets more reps, right, more playing time, I think he's gonna get much better, right? Now, speaking to everybody else, shout out to Andre Drummond. Now, Andre Drummond has really been impressing Sixer fans, right? Now, prior to the season starting, I heard a lot of people saying that Adem Bona should be the backup center for the Sixers, right? People completely forgot about Andre Drummond. But Andre Drummond this season has been playing very, very good, whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench. He's been playing very, very well. And he has been one of the biggest reasons why the Sixers have been winning because he gets on the glass, right? He gets on the glass and he's able to secure some of these rebounds for the Sixers and sometimes offensive rebounds too, right? Now, last game, I think he had about what 17 or 18 rebounds. And I was hoping that he got to the 20 mark, right? 20 rebounds and 10 points. I was really hoping he got that, but he didn't get to it. But I mean, going up against Ivica Zubac, Zubac is a legit 7-footer, right? He's a legit 7-footer, and you're gonna have difficulties, trying to keep him out the paint. But I felt like he did the best that he could, even though he's not a defensive big. I mean, Andre's not a defensive, center, but his only value defensively is to limit offensive teams to just one possession by securing those rebounds, right? And he did those, and offensively, he was getting some offensive rebounds too, and going up with some putbacks, and also Maxey was finding them in those in the dunker spot, and he was able to convert that way too. But Andre Drummond has been very very solid for the Sixers, right? He's been very very solid for the Sixers, and if not for him, the Sixers probably don't win as many games as they have so far. The Sixers have how many wins? 8 wins, 8-5. Yeah, Drummond has been instrumental to that, in my opinion. Salute to is it Joaquin Powell? Appreciate you, bro. Sometimes it's unnecessary threes, but overall great. Huge rebounder. Yeah, sometimes they leave him wide open in the corner, and sometimes he hesitates, but he takes the shots. He's made a couple of them, right? He's made a couple of them, and sometimes I don't want him to take it, like in the clutch, where when you're wide open, I mean that's what the defense is trying to do by putting you in, by leaving you wide open so you could take that shot. Because to the defense, it's a stop because you're going to miss the shot. So in the clutch, no, I don't want Andre Drummond to be taking those threes. But sometimes a swing, and then he's in the corner. They leave him wide open. In the second quarter, 7 minutes left. I mean, if he takes those threes, I don't have any issue with it. But in the clutch, no, you got to play time and score, and you got to play smartly. And by playing it smartly, I don't want Andre Drummond taking a three in the clutch. But yeah, overall, very, very solid. I think he outplayed Zubac in my opinion. Not just by looking at the stats, but actually watching the games. Like he really helped the Sixers, secure this victory, right? Even at the free throw line, getting offensive rebounds and going up, helping the Sixers put up points. That's very, very huge for us, right? It's very, very huge for us. So, shout out to Andre Drummond. Um, he says he's a huge rebounder, and Quentin Grimes has also been great. Yeah, Quentin Grimes has been great, and sometimes Sixer fans will only go at him when he misses the last shot for the game, even though he's helped the Sixers win a couple games in the clutch. But they'll just nitpick and go for the bad moments, which I don't know why people do that. I mean, that's low level basketball talk, in my opinion. He says, "Salute to Bruce. Sixers is the best of the broken down." Yeah, that narrative. that narrative is going to be there, right? That narrative is going to be there. That they only beat teams with losing records. That narrative is going to be there. So they have to prove us wrong. They have to prove the naysayers wrong if they can actually beat some of these best teams. Even though some of these teams with good records, they've had games where it went down to the line, but in the fourth quarter, in the clutch, they were not able to execute at the highest level to secure the victory. But I think they can compete with any of the teams, right? Some of the best teams they can compete with them, right? They went down to the wire with Detroit on Sunday night, right? They went down to the wire with the Bulls. If not for some, terrible plays down the stretch, they probably could have won that one. But it is what it is. Six man of the year, Quentin Grimes. I think he's a candidate, but I don't know if he's gonna win. I think he has a great case. He has a great argument for it, but it's still early in the season. But I think he's in the runnings for sure. I think he's top five bench players. I mean, y'all can give me some of the other bench players. But I think Quentin Grimes should definitely be in the run-ins. He should definitely be in the conversation. Now, is he gonna win it? I don't know. Right? Is he gonna win? I don't know. I mean, maybe the Sixers probably don't want him to win it because if he does, you're gonna have to pay him. You're gonna have to pay him more, or teams are gonna have to pay him more. And if you're not able to pay him, guess what? You're gonna lose him. So I don't think the Sixers. I don't think the Sixers want him to win it. He says, "Dang, Drummond looked like my grandfather when he was." Yeah, the hair looked crazy. I ain't gonna lie, that hair looked crazy. But hey, I don't care about the hair. I don't care about anything else. All I care about is the production on the court. All I care about is him showing up to basketball games, and he has been showing up. He has been helping the Sixers win. Now, it's not any great production, but it's been good enough to help the Sixers get a few wins here or there. So, I take that and I appreciate that. Yeah, salute the Bruce. But let's get to the third quarter. Now in the third, the Sixers trying to contain the LA Clippers. They threw out a zone. They threw out zones a couple times to prevent the dribble penetration and those dish off passes that would lead into threes. Even though the Clippers still got a couple of those possessions where Nico Batum. I mean, Sixer fans. I mean, we're familiar with Nico, and Nico's very very good. Shooting those corner threes. Right, he's very, very good at shooting those corner threes, especially if they're wide open. Pause. um, and he made the Sixers, pay a couple times. Kobe Sanders also made the Sixers pay a couple times. Nico came off the bench hitting three threes. Right, bum ass Chris Paul hit a three. And Kobe Sanders, and like I said, Kobe Sanders. I mean, the Clippers got two Kobe's, but neither one of them is Bryant. God bless the dead. But Kobe Sanders was very, very good in this game, right? He was very, very good. In the role that he was in, he played very, very well, in my opinion. Now, I haven't really followed the Clippers as much this season, so I don't know the consistency that he's given the Clippers. But as far as I know, that was the first game he started, right? And with him playing 30 minutes, he really that was good for the Clippers. Now, unfortunately, they could not secure the victory, but I don't think that this should be a game where the Clippers should be down on themselves, right? Because you got a hidden gem, right? And he's a rookie, right? So for a rookie to be playing as good as he did last night, yeah, I think the Clippers have something. Now, obviously, he's not no SGA replacement or nothing, right? It's not anything close to it, but for a role player giving you that production, playing as hard as he did on both sides of the floor, I think Clipper fans they should appreciate it. Right. They should appreciate it. And I mean the Clippers, I think they shouldn't be so down on themselves. I mean, a back to back, against two Atlantic division teams. I mean, you lost, but you get 2 more days of rest and you take on the Orlando Magic. And Orlando has not been so good. So you should be looking to win that matchup against them. So but the third quarter ended with, James Harden, helping the Clippers put up 27 points. Now, the Sixers and Sixer fans have been complaining about the Sixers, losing in the third quarter, but This one was it was a little different. They both put up 27 points. I mean, Maxey was very very instrumental in the third quarter. Right, he was very aggressive, attacking the basket constantly, being aggressive, and also getting to the free throw line and converting points in that way. Right, one of those plays, he he finished through 2 3 defenders. Right, made the basket and won, and was just getting the crowd hyped up. Right, and it really helped the Sixers, still be in the game, right? Even though they were down 10 points, but it helped keep the Sixers in the game. Because if it wasn't for him, the Sixers probably the game probably would have been over in the third frame, right? The Clippers would have put the Sixers away in the third frame. But Maxey, having some sense of urgency, was still aggressive, and he was able to score and make some shots, right? He was making shots, and other guys are also making shots. Trendon Watford, I want to say this about T Wet. I think T Wet has been very, very. I mean, ever since the game against the Raptors, he's been pretty mediocre, in my opinion. Now, I watched the game. I'm not gonna let his stat line fool me. Right? He came off the bench. He gave you 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, or whatever. But his performance was not. His performance was very, very. It wasn't impressive to me, in my opinion. I'm gonna just be real, right? The performance was not really. It was not really impressive, and I know people are going to say I'm reaching, but I believe the comparison to Ben Simmons is why he has been performing terribly. Or maybe not, let me not say terribly, but it hasn't been impressive, right? The performance has not been impressive to me, in my opinion. And me personally, if I was Nick Nurse, I probably would play other guys, right? Because you're not giving me anything like extraordinary. Like, I'm gonna keep it real, right? I'm gonna keep it real. But he gave you something that ultimately ended up with the Sixers getting the victory, but it just wasn't impressive, in my opinion. Right? It just wasn't impressive. But the Sixers, they headed into the fourth quarter, and still being aggressive. The fourth quarter, it was all Tyrese Maxey and it was all Quentin Grimes, right? Even though the game looked like it was about to be over, but Maxey, you know, he stepped up huge for the Sixers in the clutch. Hitting some timely shots, getting some timely buckets, and then also Quentin Grimes, hitting some huge threes. He hit a three from Iraq, and I was like, that's a bad shot, but it ended up going in. Pause. And the Sixers, were able to trim down the deficit and then cut into the lead, and then eventually they took the lead. And the Clippers, they kept, the Clippers also in the fourth were being aggressive, right? They had a lot of fouls and they got in the bonus early. And, John Collins had a lot of, and one opportunities, right? Because they were fouling, they're not playing good defense, not playing as smart, and, not getting to the right spot at the right time. And, John Collins, who is very, very familiar to, Sixer fans. He had opportunities like that. Other players had opportunities like that. And they made the most out of those opportunities. Right. But in the fourth quarter, I think that's when they needed James Harden the most. And I think he had sat down for too long that when he came in the game, he was cold and was not really making shots to help the Clippers, get back or take the lead and, potentially win this game. Right. I think in the fourth, he went, man, 0 for 6. That's crazy. I didn't even realize he missed that many shots. Right. And that's why, some people are insinuating that he is point shaving. But I don't think that's the case. I think he was just too cold, right? He sat for too long. So that's what contributed to him, not stepping up huge in the fourth quarter. And the Sixers, obviously winning this game. Now, I think that last play, yeah, he did get fouled, right? Quentin Grimes did tap him. He tapped him on the elbow. But they didn't call it. I think James Harden had a lot of those opportunities. He had a lot of those threes where he got fouled on those threes. I think Justin Edwards, fouled him on one of them. Trendon Watford fouled him on one of them, right? Which Harden is so smart. Like when he feels that contact, he'll just go into a shot, right? And when your hands get caught in the cookie jar, you got caught, right? When your hands get caught in there, you just got caught. And It's an easy call for the officials. Now they're not gonna give you those calls every time, but it's still huge, right? Headed to the free throw line and then attempting, 3 free throws. As a scorer of James Harden's caliber, that's very, very huge for them, right? It's very, very huge for them. So, but yeah, that last play was a foul, right? It was a foul, no question. No, let's be real, it was a foul, but they missed it. They didn't call it, and it worked in the Sixers' favor because the Sixers probably would have lost if they had called it. But yeah, that was definitely a foul. That was definitely a foul. And the Sixers, they ended up winning this game 110 to 108. One possession. They won by one possession. And in a close, a game that was was fairly close. Even though I don't think it was supposed to be close, but the Sixers, that's what they do. That's what the Sixers do. But Paul George ended up going 2 for 9. Like I said, not he was rusty, which I expected that. And I just dropped the link on. I don't know, RJ, if you still in here, you could hit the link and then we can talk about the game. But yeah, Paul George, we expected him to be rusty and struggle a little bit, into this game. But me personally, I'm not concerned because what I saw from him, not just scoring wise, but what I saw from him all around, I was very impressed. Right, I was very, very impressed with his all around play. Getting rebounds, setting up guys, and creating scoring opportunities for those other guys. I was really impressed with it. Right, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Right, very, very impressive all around game. Not a good game, scoring wise and shooting the ball or scoring, but all around it was just a good performance in my opinion. Dominic Barlow also in, you know, also on minutes restrictions, right? He's on minutes restrictions, so he didn't play a lot of minutes. But 7 points, 1 rebound. Now that's where my concern is. I mean, even though the Sixers they did win the rebounding battle against a Clipper team, I mean the Clippers are a fairly good rebounding team. I mean, you got Zubats who get you, 10, 11, maybe 12 rebounds a night. And then, you couple that with James Harden's, rebounding totals, right? With the other guys they have on the team, John Collins and all these other guys, Brooke Lopez. I mean, they're fairly a good rebounding team, but overall the rebounding battle, it was fair. I mean, the Sixers won by 1, but the Sixers, they were clashing the glass, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. Right, Paul George going in for rebounds, other guys going in for rebounds. It was very, very impressive. But Andre Drummond, 5 for 8 from the field, 18 rebounds, 14 points. Right, so really helped the Sixers. VJ Edgecombe 6 for 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line, finishes with 14 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Right, and then Maxey, who player of the game, 39 points, 13 for 27. Even though he did struggle in the first 3 quarters, I mean in the first half, he did, he turned up in the second half, and that eventually helped the Sixers win. Right, Quentin Grimes 6 for 10, 60% from the field, 3 for 6 from the 3-point line, and Quentin Grimes hit a tough 3-pointer from the corner. That was that was a tough shot because Nico Batum was all in his space, right? Was all in his face, all in his airspace. He took a dribble, sidestepped in the corner, and was able to drain that. And it was nothing but the bottom, right? They had no rim, they had nothing, just the net. And that was an impressive 3, right? Because a lot of players, they probably don't take that shot or they probably miss that. But I mean, Quentin Grimes is so skilled. He's a good shot maker, and he was able to make that, right? Able to make that. So shout out to Quentin Grimes. My young bull, Justin Edwards came off the bench. Man, 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from the 3. he didn't score any points, but I felt like his defense was good, right? I feel like the defense was good. Quentin Grimes' defense was also good because Quentin Grimes got on that ass on James Harden, and that definitely, it bothered James Harden to a certain degree, right? It bothered him, not a huge deal, but it definitely bothered him, um, and helped slow him down for the Sixers. Because if James Harden was going off, the Sixers probably don't even win this one, right? So you got to give them credit for it. But even though he went 0 for 6, I think, Nick Nurse is still going to give him minutes in the absence of Kelly Oubre. Now I'm wishing Kelly Oubre a speedy recovery because, anything with the LCL, that don't sound too good, right? So I don't know. He's probably going to get reevaluated by the team medical staff a week or two from now. And, it don't sound good, right? It don't sound good, especially with him being his contract year. And he was also playing very, very good for the Sixers. Right? He was playing very, very good individually, and he was also playing good collectively with the Sixers as a unit. So hopefully, he can come back in time and help the Sixers. Right? Because the Sixers really need Kelly Oubre. Right? The Sixers really need Kelly Oubre. Not just the scoring, even though the scoring is very, very vital, but everything else is also vital as well. So yeah, wishing him a speedy recovery. And let me go to the other guys. Trendon Watford, like I said, wasn't really impressive in my opinion, right? He gave you 8 points, 4 for 6 from the field. Um, didn't attempt any threes, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Yeah, the stats it does look good, but the performance was not impressive in my opinion. Right? It wasn't impressive. So hopefully in the near few games, hopefully he can be more impressive for us than the Clipper game, right? And then, last but not least, Jabari Walker didn't really play a ton of minutes. Only played about 3-4 minutes. Yeah, I mean, what could a player do in those minutes, right? Not so much that he could do, but salute to him. And then not last but not least, Jared McCain, 5 minutes. And he gave you the Tony Snell special. Oh man, donuts across the board. But yeah, hopefully he can get healthy because when Jared McCain gets it going, like it really helps the Sixers a lot, right? It really helps the Sixers a lot. So wishing him a speedy recovery. Or I mean, he's healthy, but hopefully he can get into a rhythm any moment from now. Now the Clippers, Kobe Sanders, 5 for 11, 17 points. Yeah, 17 points. He had the what you call it? He had the assignment on Paul George early. And that's how Paul George was able to get to the line that early because made a rookie mistake, and then Paul George made him pay for it. Right, but overall the defense, I was really impressed. The defense on the perimeter, also in the interior as well. Right, it was very, very impressive. John Collins went 3 for 8, 11 points. I mean, I felt like he should have played much better than that, but 11 points, 7 rebounds. It's not enough, right? It's not enough. Zubats, 7 for 13 from the field, 14 points and 13 rebounds. It's not enough, right? It's not enough. Especially when you had all that time to rest defensively, right? Because the Sixers didn't really attack him as much as I wanted them to attack him, right? So he was in the paint trying to rim protect as much as he could. Now, I mean, yeah, you got Drummond, who's one of the best offensive rebounders, of his generation. So you got to do a very, very good job trying to keep him off the glass offensively. I mean, defensively. So I mean, that's also responsibility. So um, that is responsibility. And Drummond got how many offensive rebounds? Yeah, he got 5 of them. Yeah, he got 5 of them. So, yeah, that's definitely a tough cover. Right, that's definitely a tough cover. But yeah, I felt like the performance was not. I mean, Zubac should be a 20 and 10 guy, right? Especially in the absence of Kawhi Leonard. He should be giving you 20 and 10 easy. Now, yeah, the offense gotta they got to involve him in the offense, but still, night in and night out, I should expect a 20 and 10 performance from Ivica Zubac. If the Clippers want to be serious and win some games, he should be stepping up for you, right? He should be the second option, right? Zubac should be the second option. So, Chris Dunn, 3 for 5, 7 points. I mean, Chris Dunn's impact to the team or for the team is not what he does offensively, but what he gets you defensively. Now he ended up, fouling out, or did he foul out? Okay, 5 fouls. Yeah, it seemed like he fouled out because he picked up a lot of fouls. But yeah, defensively he did a good job on Maxey. But I mean, Maxey's such a good offensive player that eventually he is gonna get himself going, and there's not too much you can do, right? Especially if your help is not getting there on time, right? Because Maxey's so fast that sometimes you like the help has to anticipate where Maxey's gonna go, right? You got to play the anticipation game, otherwise you're toast, right? Otherwise you're toast. So, but yeah, a good performance in my opinion. Good defensive performance, especially in the first half. But in the second half, not so. We didn't really see too many of that, right? And then James Harden, 7 for 25 from the field. Wow. Did he miss that much? Damn. Now that's what happens when you're not even looking at the stat sheet, right? When you're not even looking at the stat sheet, that's what it looks like. But like I said, I think him sitting on the bench for too long is what got him out of rhythm, right? Him sitting on the bench that long is what got him out of the rhythm. I mean, and also, I mean, James Harden should not be taking 25 shots, right? He should be looking to get Zubats going more often, in my opinion, right? Now, Harden finished with 28 points, 5 assists, six rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, Harden should also be giving you 20 and 10, right? 20 points, 10 assists. Now, I think one of the reasons why the Clippers are also struggling is because they don't have Norman Powell. I mean, Norman Powell was a dynamic scorer, a three-level scorer, three-tier scorer that could, get his buckets. Um, he was a bucket getter, right? He can get his buckets at any point. And it added, when he was on the court, it added additional spacing to the floor. And Harden was able to work with the pick and roll with Ivica Zubac. Right. So Norman Powell on the floor adds additional spacing. Now, unfortunately, they don't have Bradley Beal, right? Because I think Bradley Beal's you could say he's a better scorer than a Norman Powell. But Bradley Beal's out for the season. So it's not too, I mean, and John Collins doesn't have the gravity that any of those two have in terms of, offensive gravity, right? John Collins is not that kind of offensive player, right? He's not a shot creator like that. He's not a shooter, shot creator, or a scorer to those two guys. So he's not gonna add anything to the team. I mean Chris Dunn damn sure ain't no ain't none of that, right? But they got guys coming off the bench. Brook Lopez 2 for 5, 6 points. Yeah, he be shooting them deep threes, right? Bojan Bogdanovic 3 for 9 from the field. Cam Christie had good moments in the first half, right? He had a huge block. I forgot who that block was on, but he had a huge block, had some good plays as well. Um, gave you 2 points, but I think the most of his impact was on the defensive side of the floor, right? And then Nico Batum, 3 for 7 from the field. All of those shots were 3-pointers. Gave you 11 points. He played some good defense too. He was on Paul George a few possessions, even though Paul George was trying to, shake him up a little bit. But I felt like he played some good defense on those possessions, right? He played some good defense on those possessions. And last but not least, that bum Chris Paul, you know, 3 points, no assists, right? Chris Paul should not be on the floor, right? Chris Paul should not be playing. Chris Paul does not deserve to be on the basketball court. So I don't know why the Clippers are even playing him or giving him any minutes because he adds no value to any team, right? He gives you no value whatsoever. So Chris Paul should not even be on the floor for any team. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my whole thoughts on the game. I think the Sixers play good, but I mean they didn't start off the game the right way. And I don't know if Nick Nurse didn't get them ready to go in this game, or I don't know if it was the 2 days layoff that they had. That's why they came out, sluggish, lethargic, and not playing with a ton of energy. Or I don't know if maybe Kelly Oubre not being on the floor for them or with them is the reason why they started off so slow. But I think something needs to change, right? Something needs to change because you can't be starting off games this way every single time. You go up against the Thunder and you start off slow, you're done. You go up against the Denver Nuggets and you start off slow, you're done. The Houston Rockets will make you pay. Even Miami, right? The Miami Heat have been a very good offensive team, right? They're putting up a lot of points. I think they average like 114, 115. But they got games where it goes to 140, 145, 150. So my point is that when you play these teams, you have to come out the gate swinging. Because if you don't, you're gonna find yourself in a hole early on. And with those teams and as much scoring as they're doing, yeah, if you don't start off very, very good with them, yeah, it's gonna be a wrap early. Right? It's gonna be a wrap early. So but I mean the Sixers were one of the highest scoring teams in the beginning, but I think as of late, it hasn't been that way, right? The consistency, the shot making has not been there, right? The consistency, the shot making, the cuts on plays, the rollings, and and I think one thing I realized is that they're not really setting enough screens, right? They're not really setting enough screens, and they're really, screens are very, very vital in offenses, right? Teams, most teams, a lot of teams utilize screens, but sometimes these guys don't even want to set screens, and I don't know why. But the screens, the screening and the types of screens have to be emphasized in their film sessions, right? It has to be emphasized in the film sessions. Smash that like button as y'all come in. I know YouTube did a little, they switched things up a little bit, so the like button is a little confusing to see, but when you look down, you should be able to find it or see it. So yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything I have in this game. Very, very good game, but they started off good. I think they shouldn't have any problems. Right. Yeah. And yeah, that I think that's everything. But um we haven't heard anything in regards to Joel Embiid. We don't know how long he's gonna be out with that right knee soreness, right? We don't know how long he's gonna be out for. Um but yeah, hopefully it's sooner than later. Because the Sixers, they gotta get healthy. Right? The Sixers gotta get healthy. Because now you got Paul George back, you got Dominic Barlow back, right? and Kelly Oubre went out with an injury, so hopefully he can come back soon for the team. But at some point, the team has to be healthy, right? The team has to be healthy, and then we can see where they go from here, right? The team has to get healthy. Me personally, I think the team should be starting to get healthy from December, right? Early to mid December, heading into the next year, the team should be you should be getting healthy, right? You should be getting healthy because that would be a quarter or just as much as half of games into the season, right? Yeah. So um, what else? 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 Yeah, I think that's it. But let me look at the Sixers schedule right quick, and let's see let's see the next teams they face. Um, yeah, moving forward. So they yeah, smash that like button, y'all. Smash that like button. So they take on the Toronto Raptors Wednesday night, and then they take on the Milwaukee Bucks the very the following day, right? So it's a back to back. Um, yeah, they should be looking to win these two games, in my opinion. Now, speaking of the Raptors, I saw a post that says the Raptors they could be winning 50 games this season, right? As crazy as that sounds, I mean that could be true. I mean, they have the talent, right? They have the talent. So, yeah, but the Raptors and the Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, me personally, I think they had enough rest days to get this done, right? I'm expecting them to win both of those games, right? I'm expecting the Philadelphia 76ers to beat the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday night and beat the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday night. That's what I'm expecting from them. Now, it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be a tough task, but it's not impossible, right? It's not impossible. And so far this season, they haven't won back to back games yet, right? The first one they lost, the second one they lost, the third one they lost too. So, um, that's the challenge I'm throwing out to them, right? That's my challenge to them. And I mean, obviously, Paul George is going to play in one of them. He's not going to play in the other. Other players are going to play in some and not play in both of them. I mean, I know Maxey, Edgecombe, those guys. I mean, Drummond might play, but let's get this. Let's get these victories. Right. Let's get these two victories. Let's get these because if the Sixers can win those two games, that would be very very huge for them. Right. Because for number one, you've beaten a team that has a winning record. Right. You will beat a team that has a winning record, and then you have 2 days off, and then you take on the Miami Cheat on Sunday. A very early game on Sunday. Very very at 1 o'clock. I hate early those early games. I don't really like them. I don't really like them at all. But yeah, I think that's far away. I think the focus should be on these two teams, right? The focus should be on these two teams. The Raptors and Milwaukee. That should be the focus. So yeah, I think I'm done. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Salute to Bruce. Salute the salute to Powell. Salute the Rap Guy Reloaded. Salute to my guy RJ in the building too. Salute the Who is Hendo. Loyal Pistons fan. Stuck with his team. through the ugly, and now they one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, salute the Rap God Reloaded too. Salute the Rap God, Rap God, Rap God. But yeah, that's everything. That's everything. Hopefully, I might do another show tomorrow, and yeah, we'll talk about the Sixers. Talk about the team. You know, player evaluations like usual. And yeah, hopefully we can get an update from Joel Embiid and see where this team goes moving forward. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.